Okay. Abigail's portrayal in The Crucible is a clear antagonist of the play, and she could be portrayed as evil, selfish, manipulative, and dangerous, cunning, and stuff to accuse everybody else. And she is age 17, and she's basically the one that started the witch hunt. And in the beginning, Abigail and the girls were playing with Tituba, and they were doing an act called the Venus Glass. And it's a practice where they crack an egg and look in the egg white in a little pool of water to tell their fate of their husbands. And one of the pictures that popped out was a coffin, and obviously that was probably not a good sign. So the girls were terrified and experienced fits and spectral ghosts, and this is basically started the witch hunt, and people began suspecting. A doctor was called under to inspect them and claimed they were under an evil hand. And then the girls accused the bewitchers, Tituba, Sarah Good, and Sarah Osborne. And Tituba, to in the play, to save her skin, confessed and claimed there was more witches. And this basically started the colony's worst fear and created the frenzied witch hunt, which Abigail played a major role in starting. Click. Abigail as portrayed in the play. Abigail is one of the few cunning people that engages in witchcraft in hopes of killing Elizabeth Proctor. And one of the ways she does it is by drinking a charm that Tutuba claims that would kill Elizabeth Proctor. She is the manipulative girls that excites and arouses other peoples to accuse their loved ones as witches, and basically the puppet master of everything behind the witch cult. And okay, click.
Who Abigail was historically. Abigail was age 11 or 12 in 1692, but in the play she is 17. Abigail lived with Reverend Samuel Harris and is referred to as his niece. But niece at the time was used to refer to like anybody as a younger girl relative. So we don't actually know if she was her niece. We don't know her relation to Samuel Paris like at all really, other than that she was called his niece. We don't know the identity of her parents, so she probably had like a rough childhood. Um, the complaints of minors um, could not be heard in court without the backing of an adult. So Abigail wasn't technically the sole prosecutor of all the court cases she was part of, but she was definitely a major component in these hearings and played a major role in the killing, in the hanging of lots of people. So, um, another thing about the history of the time that Abigail lived in was that young girls in Puritan society did not really receive much consideration for better ranks, better like livelihoods, and they weren't given a lot of attention. So this, in combination with the fact that Abigail probably did not have any strong parental figure in her life, may have led to her desire to place blame on her neighbors and accuse people of being witches. Uh, in this way, she had power over the adults in her life, and she could let out some of the rage that she was feeling in response to uh, life as a Puritan girl. And yep, click. Abigail's presence today. Some of the ways that Abigail Williams has made an impact on life as we know it today is that like For example, there's a death metal band um, called Abigail Williams. It's named after Abigail Williams, and in 2015 they released an album called The Accuser, which hopefully like gives an idea of what kind of legacy Abigail left behind and what kind of impression she has made on history. Another way that Abigail Williams has like kind of showed the flaws in our society and helped bring problems of you know um, like baseless accusations is the comparison you can make between Joseph McCarthy as a politician and Abigail Williams as a testifier. See, like McCarthy, as you probably know, made lots of incredulous accusation accusations against political leaders, or sorry, political members of the American government in the 20th century. And this was around the time that Arthur Miller lived, and he wrote The Crucible in hopes of showing the American people what was the problem going on in their society with baseless accusations of being a communist and what the consequences of that can be in a worst case scenario. So, yes. Next slide. Uh, in the trials involving Abigail Williams, there was 57 accusations of witches by Abigail, but again, these accusations could not be heard in court without um, a formal complaint from an adult. So, although she isn't the sole motivator here for these court cases, she is a major part in how they were brought about in the first place. Um, Abigail only really testified in 8 of them, including Mary Easty, George Jacobs Sr., Susanna Martin, Rebecca Nurse, John Proctor, Elizabeth Proctor, Mary Witheridge, and John Willard. But she did, provide the base for lots of others. So, one court record documents Abigail blaming Rebecca Nurse for trying to force her to sign the Devil's Book on March 19th, which led to her actually being arrested on March 23rd. The next day, Abigail interrupted Reverend Lawson in the middle of a service at Salem Village Church because she allegedly saw Martha Corey's spirit come out of her body.
More on trials. One of her big trials was accusing Elizabeth Proctor and Sarah Cloakes for eating flesh and blood, as the witches do, but the food were disguised as normal food. And in the play, Abigail accuses Elizabeth Proctor in order to pursue John Proctor, but historically, this is probably not what happened due to their age difference of 11 to 60, and the fact that in the court records they didn't know each other before the trials. And in the end, Abigail's last trial was on June 3rd, 1692, and then she would disappear forever without really any traces. It's most likely that Uncle Reverend Paris probably took her away along with her cousin to save his face and stop Abigail's accusation, and mostly to save embarrassment, probably because of his ministry and people were really accusing him. And it is likely that she died single. Click.